Morning, y'all. It's Joe, and we're back under the shade tree again. Today we're gonna go ahead and do something a little bit different with Ethyl. I'm gonna go ahead and install seat belts. I'm not gonna go ahead and get into the debate about the pluses and minuses of seat belts. That's not what I'm here for. I just want to go ahead and put this out here for anybody that does want to go ahead and install seat belts. I found a nice quality product. It's locally made here in Oklahoma, and it's by a veteran-owned company. These guys make really nice equipment. It'll be custom made to your application, and I really like the equipment. I don't know anybody that owns the company. I have no relation to the company whatsoever other than I'm a customer. I didn't gain promotional endorsements, no discounts, none of that. This is just me buying a product and telling you all about it. So anyway, Seatbeltplanet.com is the name of the company. I'm gonna go ahead and put the link down in the description to their website. I went ahead and installed the driver's side yesterday, minus a little bit of hardware that I didn't have on hand. And today we're gonna go ahead and finish up, do the passenger side, and I'll walk you through it. It's pretty simple, pretty basic stuff. And if this is something you're interested in, look them up. I mean, they've got some really great options. Turnaround time's kind of slow. I mean, it took a month from day of order to day received. But that being said, it's a custom application. They build each and every one to basically your specifications. So this is nothing they just went ahead and grabbed off the shelf or had to wait to come over from China. So anyway, we'll get to it here in just a minute. Okay, like I said, I started the install on this yesterday, so some of the product is already out of the packaging and the box, but this is the basics of it. You got a retractor. I went with a 3-point style, but you can go 2 points if you want. I went with 3-point style with the hard neck for bucket seats. You can option for the metal starburst buckle or the plastic buckles or whatever it is that you want to do. Like I said, these are all custom made to your specifications. Went ahead and I got some additional hardware, brackets to go ahead. One's a hardware kit with a support plate to go ahead and anchor the retractor because I'm going through single wall steel. And also went ahead and got get that out of there. Come on out. There we go. Got the anchor to go back inside the cab wall because, again, it's part of the single wall steel, so I needed something to go ahead and anchor the upper part for the 3-point. And this is them, by the way. Seatbeltplanet.com. So I went ahead and I got this to go with it as well. I will tell you that the seatbelt does come with, or the 3-point does come with the bolt for this anchor plate, but it does not come with the anchor plate. I didn't know that when I ordered, so I ordered some extra hardware, like shoulder bolts that I don't necessarily need. And then I ordered some extra hardware that I did need, and then some of the hardware I didn't order because I knew I was gonna go to Tractor Supply and get some of that. So anyway, it's all grade 8 material, good heavy-duty steel stuff. So let me show you kind of a quick overview of what I did yesterday, and we'll get to doing the install here in just a second. Okay, so yesterday after work, I went ahead, came home, and sat down in the cab and started pulling out the tape measure and the paint pen, started making marks. Back in the day, I went ahead and installed a pair of seat belts I scored from a salvage yard, figuring, hey, this is going to work out great. And I made this big ugly hole in the top and pop riveted in a homemade anchor support, and it worked, but it didn't work. The problem I ran into was the seat belt at pretty much full extension was snug across my lap, which was fine, but you know, I'm getting to be an older guy, okay? I'm putting on a few pounds. You put on a few pounds, all of a sudden that seatbelt starts cutting you in half like a sausage. So I went ahead and did something different here. This is the retractor that's mounted to the floor now with that big washer underneath to go ahead and support it into the steel. This is the lower portion right here, that's all set in nice and firm into the floor as well. There's a nice big washer on the bottom side of that. And then on the other side here for the buckle, I ended up mounting that into my lock box because, again, I made a mistake. No fault of theirs. I'll show you here in just a second. But the reality of it is that I could have ordered differently and gone a different route. And it's, I guess, partially unfamiliarity with their product and partially my best guess with what I was working with. So I'll take the hit on this. It's entirely me. If I wanted to, I'd go ahead and do different brackets and ended up with a different result. This is fine. And the push button's right here. It's easy to get to, so I'm not complaining about that. Okay, with the driver's seat slid forward, you can see where I went ahead and put the bolt for the latch into this box here that I made. That box is 10 gauge plate steel. It's not going anywhere. It's got 4 grade 8 bolts with anchor supports underneath the cab floor. It was done that way for a reason, because it's going to be a lock box to go ahead and secure things inside my cab. There's a little plastic plug that goes in here that'll cover that hardware so you won't see it. And the other hardware is going to be underneath carpet, so you won't see any of that either. Like I said, if I had gone differently, the L bracket that I bought would have been a longer one. I'll show you here in just a second. Okay, this is the L bracket that I bought, and you can see where we literally came up short. They do make a longer one. Actually, they make 2 different longer ones depending on what you want to do. I could have gone ahead and ordered the longer one and been fine. I figured that 12-inch would have been fine to go ahead and come up from the floor to the seat for bucket seats. They do offer a 20-inch for bench seats, and that would have worked too. But that doesn't come with a plastic sleeve on it. So again, it's kind of mix and match options. In my circumstance, if I had gone ahead and gone with the longer bracket, I would have had to go into this box. But at the same point, that box is just as solid, if not more solid, than this bracket here, because the load's divided between 4 grade 8 bolts rather than 1. So it is what it is. I'm not complaining. This was just something that was an oversight on my part, nothing with the company. I will tell you that when you go to order seat belts of any kind, the seat belts, with the exception of the anchor bolt for the shoulder, do not come with hardware. So you'll need to go ahead and figure out which hardware kit you need to go ahead and order in, depending on your application. And of course, the hardware is extra, and I get that. The grade 8 bolts are the same stuff you can pick up at Tractor Supply for the most part. It's nothing super hard to source. Ace Hardware carries the stuff too. Just about any hardware store will. So getting some of the hardware isn't too difficult. The brackets, I mean, heck, you can make your own if you really want to. I just opted to go ahead and order brackets with my stuff. It just made life a lot easier. And that being said, I won't use these 2 brackets here because, again, they're just a little bit too short, but nothing I can't overcome. Again, had I known what I was doing, oh crap, me knowing what I'm doing, what the hell am I talking about? That'll never happen. So anyway, had I known, I would have ordered the longer bracket and we'd have been just fine, but this works just as well and there's no issue. Okay, so probably the first thing you really need to do is figure out where the shoulder anchor point needs to go in. And in my case, it's 35 inches up from the floor to the center of that hole, and then 5.5 inches in from the edge of the door opening to right there. That puts the anchor point above and behind my shoulder. These are not adjustable. The newer cars and stuff, they have the adjustable anchor that you can raise and lower by pushing the clip. I don't have that. I didn't opt for that. I don't know if they include that option, but I didn't see it. And in reality, that really doesn't work very well here because I don't have the room to go ahead and work with it. I will say that my mistake with this hole right here, became an advantage when it came to going ahead and getting the anchor point in. What I'm doing is I'll take a piece of copper wire and hang that anchor I showed you in the first video clip from it through one of the mounting holes, and then hold it down, lower it down in behind here, and then feed in the anchor point bolt right through and snug it up. So eventually this upper hole is going to go ahead and get welded shut, cleaned up, all that mess will be gone. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to use it to my advantage, because trying to feed it up under that lip right here and up inside the double wall is really a big pain in the butt. I mean, I guess I could go ahead and weld a rod onto the anchor point and then feed it up through and then break the rod off once it's mounted. That's kind of a pain, a lot more effort than just going ahead and feeding it down through the hole that I already made. But that gives you just one more option for your personal setup. Okay, the next thing that you're going to worry about is mounting the retractor. Again, I had already gone ahead and installed seat belts in this at one point. They were just too short, and so I had this hole made for my mounting plate for the retractor, and that's what I'm going to use again. It was the same location on both sides of the truck. No point in drilling new holes in my floor, so that'll be easy. The retractor will go here. It'll go ahead and feed up through the anchor and then come back down to this hole that I've started right here for the other side of the main belt. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to go ahead and put an L bracket on here. I'll go ahead and put the free end of the seat belt onto that, and then we'll move the seat forward. I'll drill another hole in the side of the box to go ahead and do that, to get the passenger side mounted. Okay, so when you order the 3-point retractable seat belt, this is what you get. This is the mounted seat belt and the hard plastic sleeve. This is a 12-inch buckle end. Like I said, it's got the plastic cap in the bottom end. Go ahead and pretty that up so it's hidden. The other part of it is going to be the belt and retractor assembly. Let me get that out of the back. Okay, the belt and retractor assembly, which is going to be this right here. This part does come with, specified that I wanted the covered upper anchor, and so here it comes. It's got the hardware on it already. This little plastic cover comes off, keeps things nice and neat. You can specify colors, you can specify colored stripes woven in. I mean, the options are endless, and they've got some amazing colors for those that really want to go ahead and take fashion design to your interior, if that's what you're into. It also comes with some documentation to go along with it, and so if you look into the back, it tells you about mounting your shoulder anchor. If you're not certain about that, it'll give you a little bit of guidance to tell you what's going on with that. I'm not normally one to go ahead and sit down and read the instructions on doing anything. I tend to go ahead and figure it out myself, but having already failed once in putting seat belts in Ethyl, I decided that they might have a little bit better guidance on the upper anchor point, and obviously they did, and so I deferred to their judgment. Okay, follow the instructions. Okay, this is safety equipment for those of you that believe in seat belts, or at least the concept of seat belts, if nothing else, or if you're in a state that requires you have seat belts in whatever vehicles on the road. Here we are. So like I said, just a quick view. Here is the passenger or the driver's side. That's that corner. I mean, that's right up there where it needs to be. I like where the position is. It feels comfortable already, and so I can reach back and stop grabbing space. I'm one of those kids that was raised on seat belts, and so every time I got into Ethyl and went to go for a drive, I'd reach back for that seat belt and remember, oh yeah, it's not there. Force of habit and 50 years of learning, 54 years of learning, seat belts. So again, I'm not debating the pluses and minuses of seat belts. If you're one that wants to go ahead and use a seat belt and wants to install it in your vehicle, your older vehicle, or if you want to replace them in your modern vehicle, they're available. So check out seatbeltplant.com. Okay, like I said, in addition to the seatbelt assembly itself, I ordered a hardware kit for mounting. This is what comes in one of the hardware kits. This is going to have the backing plate and a couple of different length bolts to go ahead and mount your retractor, and one L bracket to go ahead and mount your retractor, as well as nuts and lock washers. Like I said, I did go ahead and get some extra L brackets. We're going to have one for the floor here, and then a spare one that I'm not going to use for the box side. So let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, since I already pre-drilled some holes here, we're going to go ahead and start with the L bracket for the retractor. And with the L bracket, I'm going to take the longer bolt, run it through, and then position it over here through the floor. Yeah, if I can find the hole, put some hair around that sucker. Okay, so there we go. There's the L bracket. That's where the retractor is going to go. And on the bottom side, I'm going to go ahead and get the big washer and the nut and the lock nut. The big washer is the backing plate to go ahead and give it a little bit of support. And you're going to see why we use the long bolt for the floor rather than the short bolt here in just a minute. Alrighty, so depending on whether or not you've got help with you or what your floor is like, you can do this as a one-person operation, or sometimes it might take two people. In my circumstance here, there's the bolt coming through, and the big washer will go on as the retainer plate, and then the lock washer, and then the nut. And obviously I can't film this and do it at the same time because I need both my hands. So give me just here somewhere. What do I do with that? Where did it go? You fucking hood. Really? There it is. Dumbass, didn't stop recording. Okay, so there it is. Just went ahead and ran that up by hand. That leaves the bracket loose at the top, so you can go ahead and position the retractor where it's going to work out best for you. I'm going to spin the retractor around, make sure it's where I want it, and then we're going to feed the short belt through the retractor into the L bracket and get that in position. We'll leave all the hardware loose until we're done, and then come back in and wrench it all down good and tight. Okay, and here's the hardware on the driver's side, just to show you how that all went together. I'll show you here in just a second how this plastic cover pops open, so you can go ahead and get in there, mount your hardware for your bracket and your retractor, and then we'll go ahead and get the other side mounted up. I just wanted to show you how this goes together and the relationship. That way both brackets will be set up the same way. Okay, so here we got, I've got my L bracket into the upper portion of the L's facing into the corner, and then my retractor will go ahead and go onto that. Oop, come on. Focus, you nitwit, focus. So my retractor goes onto that through that bolt right there, that bolt hole right there. The plastic cover on this pops open like that, so you don't have to try and feed hardware into some place that you can't reach, and we just go ahead and bolt this end on. Okay, when you do this, you want to make sure that you go ahead and put the bolt head inside rather than the long end of the bolt. The reason being is your webbing's got to have somewhere to go, and you don't want it to go ahead and jam up against that extended bolt end Otherwise, it's going to go ahead and start wearing into this, and your seatbelt's not going to retract like you want it to, and it becomes a pain in the butt. So do it this way. It gives you the extra clearance that you're going to need. All right, the next part's going to be the shoulder bracket, the backing plate that goes inside the cab wall. And what I did is I've got this piece of copper wire right here with a little hook on it. And I'm going to fish that down through the wall with the backing plate. And the hook's going to go through the small hole and hold it from the top. And then I'm going to go ahead and feed the bolt in through the cab wall into this plate. And then I should be able to go ahead and snug it up. I'm not going to put any thread locker on here or anything like that because I don't want this getting stuck inside the cab wall. I guess in reality I could go ahead and drill 2 more holes through the cab wall and weld it in. You know, if this was something where I was putting a patch panel in, I could go ahead and weld it in and plug weld those 2 holes right there. You know, there's a number of options to doing this. Obviously the best way to secure it would be to go ahead and drill 2 more holes and put little anchor screws into this plate to go ahead and hold it in place. But you know, again, this is up to you. This is for you to go ahead and figure out how you want to do it, what's going to best work out for you. I could weld nuts on the back of here, or you know, we use pop rivets, captive fasteners, whatever, and go ahead and hold this in place and lock it down. For my purpose, I think just running the bolt through it and getting it snug should be enough retention on there that it shouldn't rattle loose. If I find that it does, obviously it's going to drop into that double cab wall, but it is open on the back side and I will be able to fish it out, and I'll take a second approach at it if I have to. So again, this is your personal preference. How do you want to go ahead and do this? This is what hot rodding is. Hot rodding is problem solving, okay? You figure out what works best for you. Okay, so here we are back in place. I was able to reach a finger through and hold the backing plate while I snug the bolt down, and then just flip a little plastic cover over. Obviously, this is your opportunity to make sure it's not all twisted before you put it in. This pivots, it's a shoulder bolt, but it's snug to the cab wall. So we're good to go there. Next thing is going to be the anchor point for this guy right here. Okay, this anchor point is going to go right here on another L bracket that I've got to finish drilling the hole. That's just the pilot hole for it right now. I'll drill a 1/2-inch hole and put my hardware on that, and that part will be done. Pro tip, watch where you're drilling. Find out what is behind what you're drilling. Had a buddy of mine that was installing video systems in a patrol car and drilled straight into the gas tank on some Crown Vics. So know what you're doing before you drill it. Okay, so there we are. Grade 8 bolt, grade 8 fastener, or grade 8 washer. And then this grade 8 loveliness is going on the bottom side underneath the cab floor. Okay, so here's where this is going to go, right here. Come on. I may need to go with a longer bolt on this one. Either way. So go ahead and put that flat washer up there to provide additional support, and then a lock washer and nut. It'll be in good shape. Okay, so there we are. 1/2-inch bolt, 1.5 inch long, with grade 8 hardware, flat washer, lock nut, or I'm sorry, flat washer, lock washer, and nut. When you go to install these, this is, like I said, this is the stuff I picked up at Tractor Supply Company. And so that's going to be 3/4 inch wrench, 3/4 inch wrench on both sides. So, like I said, it's loose right now. I'll go ahead and come back in with a wrench, tighten all this stuff up. Okay, now with that goodie in place, I've got this little retainer clip right here, which is allowing me extra slack to work with. Well, I go ahead and put this guy onto here. Okay, so this guy's going to go ahead and mount on. I've got shoulder bolts for that, and I'll go ahead and get those here in just a second. And then all we've got left to do once we get this done is put the buckle end on to the box, and we're done. And one more tip before you go ahead and try and put your anchor side to the seat belt in. Tighten this bolt down first because there's not enough room to put a wrench on here before you go ahead and put your other bolt in. Tighten this one down first because there's not enough room to go ahead and put a wrench on here once your other bolt is here. Okay, so there we have it. The passenger side retractor end is all installed now. We're good to go. Everything's done. I gotta put my little plastic cover down here. Close up the dust cover on that, and we're done with this end of it. All I've got to do is the buckle end, which should take just a moment. All my hardware's good and tight. I pulled the little tensioner clip off of here, so now it retracts up like it should. Hooray! All nice and handy, and it's right where it should be. Well, here's an advantage to using two-door Jeep. To go, so I can go ahead and bolt in my buckle end. It should take me just a quick moment. And there we have it. There is the passenger side seat belt. Like I said, I went ahead and bolted in from the side. I don't know if we can see it from inside the case here. Okay, so both of these guys are anchored in. Like I said, this is a 10 gauge steel box. It's securely bolted to the floor many times over. So it'll serve as a good anchor point for those seat belts, and it should be good and solid. And like I said before, I had gone ahead and used seat belts that harvested from a salvage yard for a different vehicle, and they weren't nearly long enough. Once I started putting on a pound or two, well, they started cutting me in half like a sausage. But here we are. This is fully extended. This is I believe it's 152-inch length, which is far more than enough. And there we go. This all retracts back up in. So, actually, you can go even further than that. There we go. Now we're fully retracted. So again, they'll go ahead and build to your application. Just, you know, let them know what you're working on, let them know what you want to do, and they'll build it to whatever it is that you want to go ahead and do. Like I said, it's seatbeltplant.com. I'm not affiliated with the company in any way. Like I said, it's a veteran-owned company. It's an Oklahoma-owned company. They're right here in Edmond, Oklahoma. And like I said, they've got some nice products. They've got some nice options. Check out their website. They've got colors and options like you cannot believe. So give them a look, if nothing else. Like I said, I'm not affiliated. They're just, from what I've seen, a good company to work with. Turnaround time was 30 days, and that's fine. I get it, because again, this is custom made to my application. Alrighty, folks. So seatbelts are installed, all in. It took, not counting time to video, maybe hour and a half to do the pair, and that's just me taking my time. I'm fixing to go ahead and try it out now, take it on a test drive, and see how much I like the new equipment. I said I'm kind of a fan, but here we go. So, easier if I go underneath. And it's that simple. So there we have it, folks. I'm gonna turn this off before my phone falls over. All right, well, that does it for today's video. Remember to click, like, share, subscribe, pass along with your friends. Okay, some of these I do for fun, some of these I do for sharing of knowledge. It's all for entertainment. This is community, not competition. Check out some of the other sites. Coastal Auto Reaction, Markos Garage, Olde Carr Guy, Robert's Garage, Junkyard Digs, Backyard Alaskan, Katarina's Garage. The list goes on. Okay, these people are not necessarily doing this for profit. They're doing it for entertainment. Okay, help them out. Like I said, click on the like, share, subscribe to these channels. Enjoy what you like. If you don't like it, go ahead and move on. There's other content out there. Y'all stay safe, be good to each other, and we'll see you next time. This is Joe, we're done.